Hey guys, Dean here. Today we're going to be doing a video on Zagreb, Croatia and the best things to do in the city. This includes all of the different tourist attractions, the places to be and places to see when you're on vacation in Zagreb, the main capital of Croatia, which has a population of around 1 million people, so you know there's a ton of things to do. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Number 13, Illica. One of the longest streets in the city of Zagreb, Illica is a very busy street that stretches on seemingly forever. This is the place to be if you want to do some midweek shopping, as it houses many designer shops, as well as small stores, mini-marts and other cultural sites nearby. This street also connects onto the main central square of the city and has very good tram connections here to get around. If you're walking through the city, chances are you'll always connect back onto Illica. It's more than 5 kilometers in length. Number 11, Museum of Broken Relationships. This one is not for the faint-hearted. This museum is dedicated to failed or broken romances, and it's based on a set of exhibits comprising of personal objects left over from former relationships, each having their own unique stories and descriptions. The museum is based upon a collection of donated items from all around the world, which were obtained as the museum went on tour. The museum is an art concept which integrates the theme of emotion with memories based on items, and possession and ownership of them. I wouldn't recommend visiting this museum if anything similar has happened to you recently. Although not really my favourite location, I did see the value in its exhibition and found it interesting nonetheless. Number 10, Lotrscak Tower. This fortified tower structure is located in the heart of Zagreb and dates back to the 13th century. Originally constructed as a guard tower for the city's southern gate upon its town wall, the tower has a bell hung upon it, which is initially used for signifying the closing of the city's gates. You can go up inside of this tower and see what it has to offer. It houses a very important piece of weaponry, the Gric cannon, which was originally fired every day to mark midday. However, when I went, it had paused firing as of recent. Despite church bells being a thing, this cannon was mainly to give the bell ringers of said nearby churches the sign for the exact time to ring their noon bell. This tower also sits right next to the funicular railway, which can take you up or down from its location and back to the city streets near Illica, or you can just use the climbing stairs. Number 9, Maksimir Park. Founded in 1787, this is the main city park and the oldest public park in Zagreb, a key cultural heritage site and a spot for many facilities inside, one being public toilets, which were a lifesaver when walking all day. The park is surrounded by many different large meadows, creeks, a number of 5 or so lakes, and the nearby zoo, which is part of its territory. This is a great spot to gather with family or friends for some daytime walking through the park and its connecting forests, or for riding your bike or going for a coffee at the cafe up its hill. This park is huge, so there's plenty of places to sit down at or hang around in for everyone, regardless of usually being extremely busy during the summer. Number 8, Jelacic Square. Connecting to Illica, this is the main central square of Zagreb and usually the most busiest part of the city where everything is going on. Also a spot where countless cafes and nighttime drinking spots are situated. Located to the south of the Dolak market, you can usually notice the square by its large statue of the horse rider in its centre and some of its different coloured buildings, such as the yellow painted one behind the statue. There's a large tram rail in the centre of the square and a nearby McDonald's if you need a bite to eat. It has many connecting streets behind it, which will lead you to many of the popular museums here, like the Tortureum Museum, the 80s Museum, Soccer Museum, and the nearby souvenir stores. Number 7, Museum of Naive Art. Being the first globally to be devoted to this variant of art and founded in 1952, this museum is home to many interesting pieces of art. This fine art museum consists of material from naive artists of the 20th century, and it holds some 1900 pieces consisting of a series of paintings, drawings, and sculptures, mainly by those of Croatian origin. This type of art is very colourful and is based upon emotion and has a very unique style. The space of the exhibition here is also rather small. Number 6, Museum of Torture. The Tortureum, aka the Museum of Torture in Zagreb, is a unique experience that offers a collection of different torture and executioner equipment and instruments which were used since the ancient and medieval times up until the modern day. This unique museum presents the theme of violence and its application through time by utilising a series of around 70 or so full-scale devices and instruments. You can touch and see these objects up close, such as the chair, or the guillotine and pendulum for a truly chilling experience. With devices used to penalize women for gossiping to humiliation devices built for pure pain, this dark exhibition is very interesting. They give you an interactive audio guide when you enter here, which can be scanned on the various pieces to get both a written description and accompanying audio note narration to learn about each contraption. I was alone when going around here, so it made it a lot more interesting and all the more immersive. There's also a miniature dungeon room which is claustrophobic, but it has sounds of water drips, cackling laughter, and it's accompanied by a ball and chain and various other objects to make it more believable if you decide to spend your time in it. Number 5, Yarun Lake. Definitely one of the most beautiful spots of Zagreb, this lake located to the south of the city centre is sometimes referred to as the Zagreb Sea. This is a spot popular in the summer for team sports and leisure activities such as kayaking and canoeing, swimming and roller skating, or bike riding up and down its promenade on a hot summer day. It's also an interesting spot for nightlife as there's nightclubs on site where you can get some drinks and party, or multiple cafes to stop for a cappuccino and a snack just like we did before going off for a meal at night. In the hot weather, this is a must-see spot to have a relaxing day, and it's a beautiful sight. Number 4, Gric Tunnel. A pedestrian tunnel located in the heart of Zagreb's city centre nearby the Gric neighbourhood. This tunnel comprises of multiple segments such as its central hall with 2 connecting passageways leading to Mesnica Street in the western exit and St. Yapan Radic Street to its eastern exit, with 4 other passageways to the south. This is one of the more interesting historical sites, and if you go before closing at 9 PM, you can experience this tunnel network constructed during World War II, which served as a bomb shelter. After disrepair and abandonment, it was renewed in the late 90s and was utilised in the Croatian War of Independence as a shelter, reopening later in 2016 to the public after being remodelled. You can find many different stickers down here, as in the case of the Monero cryptocurrency stickers, which sometimes can be seen plastered around in Zagreb. Number 3, Zagreb Zoo. On 7 hectares of land, this zoo is located in the Maksimir Park and is one of Croatia's 3 key main zoos. Founded in 1925, the zoo has over 350 different animal species and nearly 8,000 animals within, with the site partaking in many conservation and endangered species protection projects. With many birds, mammals, reptiles, fish and amphibians, and insects and invertebrates, there's a lot to see in the zoo, and you can easily spend hours on site here, and it being upon the park's land means it's so accessible. Being home to a snow leopard, North China leopard, red panda, chimpanzees, monkeys, hippos, camels, and powerful lions, there's really so much to see in the zoo. Number 2, Zagreb 80s Museum. This small little museum is a really interesting and quirky one that I happened to stop by on the same day as visiting the Tortureum, as they're very close to each other. This museum utilizes the first floor of an old building in the historical part of Zagreb, and it's an exhibit of various rooms that aims to reconstruct the life and surroundings of the former Yugoslavia in a special way that's both interactive and very interesting to experience through its objects and visual representation of its past heritage. The exhibition is comprised of various different rooms, each being unique in a different way, simulating an apartment where everything represents the 80s era. You can touch and feel all of the old world objects for nostalgia purposes. You'll notice everything from old phones and phone books, television sets of phones, old furniture and various other objects, really making you feel like you're in an 80s apartment. Even the large yellow car or bike near the lobby. As you progress, you'll see old cooking books, a kitchen dated with old kitchenware and cupboards, and then you'll progress onto a child's bedroom with old school toys and fitting objects before the game room comes. The game room is full of old authentic legendary video games and consoles like the Atari and the Commodore 64, and machines, aka arcade machines, that you can actually play games on, surrounded by movie posters from that time period like the Terminator, while you listen to fun 8-bit music playing in the background. Number 1, nightlife and coffee culture. One thing I can say is great about Zagreb is its coffee culture, just like in the rest of Europe, and its restaurants, which are great spots to frequent during the nighttime. When I visited, we'd stop by many of the cafes to get a cappuccino and a glass of water, and just talk business and have fun for a few hours before driving to get a meal at nighttime or a steak at one of the popular restaurants. This is nightlife in Croatia. But you can also stop by many of the nightclubs or bars in the city if you want to experience the nightlife in a different way and to party if that's what suits you. It has a fair deal of options for the city, to say it only has around 1 million people. Although there was a 12 AM curfew for the clubs, as I was told by taxi drivers during the post-lockdown period, so I'm unsure if that has yet been lifted.
So So that concludes this travel guide on the best things to do in Zagreb, Croatia. You can also check out my video on Zadar, Croatia, which shows you all the best things to do on the coast in the city of Zadar. Also, alternatively, if you want to see some other European travel guides, you can check out my Austrian travel guides on the channel too, which includes Innsbruck, Salzburg, and also Vienna, Austria, the capital of the country. I will also be coming out with a video soon on Istanbul from Turkey, as well as countries such as the Netherlands and Denmark. So if you're interested in more travel videos, travel guides and vlogs, and also business related videos, make sure to subscribe and stop by the channel again. Thanks for watching.